What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Ratch Report. It is time to talk about the Toronto Raptors because they made the bold decision to draft Collin Murray-Boyles over Kaman Malawach and Noah Essengate, two players that they have been linked to for several months now. And it should not really come as a surprise as to why the Toronto Raptors chose Collin Murray-Boyles. But could this be a case of the Toronto Raptors repeating history yet once again? I will be discussing that in today's video, as well as talking about some of Collin Murray-Boyles' strengths and weaknesses to fully help you understand why the Raptors chose him. So if you are ready to watch this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel, and the shout out for today's video goes out to Window Man. Thank you so much for supporting this channel through your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. Now, this would not be the first time the Toronto Raptors have made the bold decision of passing off a popular pick to choose someone that wasn't expected to go at the ninth position. In 2021, the Toronto Raptors made the bold decision of drafting Scottie Barnes when everyone was anticipating that the Raptors will select Jalen Suggs. Now, fast forward several years to 2025, and the Raptors have made the bold decision to draft Collin Murray-Boyles when players like Kaman were there, and considering the Toronto Raptors had a need for a backup center, but also someone like Noah Essengate, who in the last 24 hours or so has been linked heavily to the Toronto Raptors and was actually one of the few teams he did work out for. This could be, something that we have seen with time and time again with the Toronto Raptors, where they do not choose the popular pick, but choose one that most people had not predicted. And could this be a case of the Toronto Raptors repeating history yet once again, especially considering the two players that they drafted several years ago? Well, at least the one player in Scottie Barnes, and fast forward to now, Collin Murray-Boyles, two players coming out of college that were known for their defensive impact and not so much on the offensive side as well. They're very comparable to what their assets and weaknesses were coming out of college, but could this also become an issue of becoming the Scottie and Pascal situation yet once again, where you have overlapping skills? Now, obviously, you want to see how this duo works out first before you even start having that discussion. But you cannot deny that both of their weaknesses, their inability to stretch the floor and shooting overall, does definitely complicate things as well, which is why a lot of fans were reacting the way they were when the Raptors decided to take Collin Murray-Boyles, and also just considering the desperate need they have for a center position, and considering that Jakob Poeltl is heading into free agency next season, and the Raptors don't really have a backup option behind Jakob in case of injuries as well. Now, again, I think for now, Collin Murray-Boyles and Scottie Barnes, you have to kind of play them together to get a feel of what it looks like. And if Collin Murray-Boyles, again, has a surprise jump like Scottie Barnes did in his rookie season, where he performs offensively a lot better than many people have expected, then sure, you can make the argument of whether or not one of these guys needs to be here while the other needs to be moved. But for now, we're going to leave those discussions for future videos. But talking about Collin Murray-Boyles, why did the Toronto Raptors decide to take him? Well, let's talk about his strengths and really help you fully understand what he's capable of in the NBA, but also what he did in the college level. So starting with Collin Murray-Boyles, one of his biggest strengths is his great defensive versatility. It's one thing to be a good defensive player, at one position or two positions. He is actually someone that is able to switch on multiple positions. So he can guard small centers, he can guard power forwards, he can guard small forwards, shooting guards, and even at times we've even seen him guard point guards as well. And it is a good thing that he is, a very switchable defender. He has a lot of good things in terms of what he's able to do on the defensive side. I don't want to reveal all of them just yet because it's going to lead to some of the next points as well, but he's just a very versatile big man. Essentially, you can play him at so many different positions on the defensive side, at least. And that's why it gives the Raptors a lot of options. I guess Masai Ujiri saw how poorly the Toronto Raptors were playing defense, and all of a sudden he decided to switch back to the type of players that he used to draft long ago. In terms of some of his other strengths as well, he has high IQ on both ends of the floor. When you watch some of his highlights, when you see him post up, it's one thing for when you get a mismatch in the post and you're just going to post up the other players, he actually does a very excellent job of pinning down his man where he's obviously bigger than them and he gets the pass over them, then that leads to an easy basket. And even on the defensive side as well, when he's fighting through switches, he does a good job of really getting around that defender to make sure he stays on his man. And one of the more underrated assets of Collin Murray-Boyles is his passing ability. Obviously, being in Darko's system here in the Raptors' new coaching system, you need to be able to move the ball as well. If Collin Murray-Boyles was someone that was not able to pass the ball, it would have made things a lot more challenging in terms of the offensive side as well. Again, we'll talk about some of his weaknesses related to the offensive side, but he is a good passer. That is something that definitely helps him play on both ends of the floor because we know on the defensive side, he plays really well, but it helps that he can feed his teammates easy baskets as well. And you absolutely love to see that again, just given the Raptors situation and how, you have Scotty Barnes there who can pass the ball, and you have Collin Murray-Boyles as well. And like I said, it's one thing to be a good defensive player and do other things on the offensive side, but it's another for you to be able to move the ball as well. But again, it'll kind of lead to our next points here. He also uses physicality really well. So oftentimes when you see him attacking the basket, when he's posting up, when he's going for those rebounds, he is a very physical player. Despite his 6'6" frame, he is very physical, and it definitely helps that he has a 7'2" wingspan as well. It kind of helps him work around some of the more physical centers to kind of finish the easy baskets as well. Another thing that Collin Murray-Boyles does exceptionally well is crashes the board. Despite, again, him only having a 6'6" frame, his 7'2" wingspan definitely does help, but his physicality really helps as well as some of the previous points we have made about having high IQ. He really positions himself in a very good manner to really fight for those rebounds and just give the Raptors. It's going to be great for him to give the Raptors second chance points as well, because the Raptors could always use more rebounding, and it gives you extra possessions on the offensive side, right? We've seen it in the playoffs on how much it impacts teams, even if you're struggling to score, to have those second chance opportunities. It just really takes the air out of some great defensive teams. We've seen it time and time again during these playoffs where, a team misses, gets a rebound, misses again, gets a rebound, and you see the other team is very frustrated. Another thing that Collin Murray-Boyles is very good at is he has very good hands. Now, I don't mean he's a great massage therapist. Maybe you can ask his girlfriend that, but he has very good hands in the sense that he disrupts passes really, really well. When he's fighting through some of the pick and rolls, he's able to disrupt some of the dribbles by getting his hand in there, and he's really good at that. Now, he's obviously, he has his limitations overall, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But one thing he does really well is just get his hands in there, but also just stealing the ball and blocking shots as well. He just uses his frame super well, and that's really good to see because he has so many different variables to his defensive side, right? It's not just that he moves his feet well. It's not just that he positions himself well. He's very aggressive. He has good hands, and it kind of just ties in together as to why the Toronto Raptors did choose him. And lastly, talking about his strengths, he makes the right reads. This is super important, again, on both sides of the floor. When you see certain players understand the game the way that Collin Murray-Boyles does, you see that they kind of see a play happen before it even happens. And that's why you'll oftentimes see a lot of players that are able to intercept passes because they can, in their head, kind of visualize where the ball is going next. And again, on the offensive side as well, he makes good reads because one thing he does really well is when he's attacking the basket, he'll pump fake, or he's left-handed, so he'll wait for the defender to kind of blow by him or jump up in the air. Then he kind of goes right to the left to the basket and just gets those easy layups as well. So again, he's a very intelligent, high IQ basketball player that just has so many good things to him, guys. I know it's not the most popular pick, but there's a reason why the Toronto Raptors are very high on him. And there's also a lot of rumors that a lot of teams were looking to trade up to the ninth spot as well. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, why not just trade back if you're going to draft Collin Murray-Boyles? You look at the teams behind him. The Phoenix Suns were rumored to be interested in him. The Chicago Bulls could use him. The Atlanta Hawks could use him as well. So there's a reason the Toronto Raptors chose to draft Collin Murray-Boyles. But as always, we do have to talk about some of the weaknesses as well. And I think it's important to kind of highlight those to fully understand some of the limitations he has on his offensive side or offensive game as well. So one of the biggest weaknesses for Collin Murray-Boyles is he really, I don't want to say he's a terrible athlete, but he definitely does lack athleticism. Despite having, a 6'6" frame, he's not someone that's going to soar for some big dunks, which he actually occasionally does do. So it's not as if he's getting one getting off the floor on, just like half a centimeter. He's not one of those players. He's not a Marcus Gasol type of player, but he can go in for some big dunks. And again, that wingspan definitely does help him as well. But overall, he just really does lack athleticism. One of the glaring weaknesses of Collin Murray-Boyles is also he really struggles to shoot the three-point ball. That was evident by the shooting we saw in the draft combine as well. Just he completely nearly missed. I think he nearly airballed his first shot in the three-point star shooting drill. So that was not very encouraging to see as fans, and obviously, as just overall for a Toronto Raptors team that does need floor spacing, it is not an encouraging sign. But again, he does do a lot of things on the positive on the other side as well. Again, I'll summarize in just a moment, but overall, he definitely needs to improve that three-point shooting overall, especially if he hopes to play with Scotty Barnes. And you got Jakob Poeltl in there who doesn't space the floor as well. So that's going to create a little bit of a misfit, and that's where the frustration from a lot of fans comes from in terms of why the Raptors chose Collin Murray-Boyles because of his lack of shooting. Collin Murray-Boyles also lacks quickness as well. He's not the fastest of players. You're not going to see him blow by players. That is one of his glaring weaknesses. He also struggles to create in isolation. So when we talk about some of his struggles offensively, you kind of understand why, because he lacks quickness, he lacks athleticism, and he struggles to create in isolation because he's not someone that's going to blow by you. He's not someone that's going to, fly over you and dunk over you. And just overall, that is the part of his game that obviously the Raptors are going to hope improves. And lastly, it's not really a weakness he can work on, but he does lack size for a forward slash center player. Again, being 6'6" has its struggles. Most 6'6" guys are small forwards. He's playing at the small forward position, and he could possibly, definitely will be playing, power forward position, but he's definitely going to be seeing some minutes at the center position as well. Now, to pretty much summarize why the Raptors chose Collin Murray-Boyles, they talked about players that you could play in playoff situations, and it's important to watch this year's playoffs to fully understand what Dan Tolzman, a Raptors assistant GM, who's a big part of the scouting department, was talking about when he talked about these kind of players. We saw Isaiah Hartenstein get driven off the floor because Tyrese Haliburton was using his tactics so well to pull him off the three-point line, and it just creates so much mismatches as well. You saw it with almost every player out there, even with the Indiana Pacers themselves. Even Miles Turner was not good in the pick and roll game. So yes, it's important to have centers, but I think the Raptors made the decision of not choosing Coman for that reason, because when they weighed the options of Coman and Collin Murray-Boyles, you got to ask yourself, out of these two players, which of these players are going to be the players that you could probably play in late game situations where you really need switchability? And that is definitely going to be Collin Murray-Boyles. Again, that's not to disrespect Coman. He can block shots and get rebounds as well. But ultimately, I think the Raptors made a very wise decision to choose Collin Murray-Boyles. It's not the best decision for a lot of fans because of his inability to create and shoot overall on the offensive side and have some overlapping skills with Scotty Barnes as well. But I do really like the pick for Collin Murray-Boyles. I think this is an exceptional pick. And also, just to note one final thing before we end the video is when you look at guys like Collin Murray-Boyles that are very physical, you look at the overall game of today's basketball and you look at, especially, I want to keep going back to the playoffs, is how many centers are working in the post realistically outside of Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid? There's not very many guys. And I think this is where someone like Collin Murray-Boyles kind of plays or can play at the small ball center where you use a little bit more physicality. Even someone like you put him against Miles Turner to kind of keep him out of the paint by being a lot more physical. And those type of centers don't have a post game, which makes it so much more easier to play Collin Murray-Boyles against them as well. So again, these are my thoughts on Collin Murray-Boyles and why the Raptors decided to draft him. Do you like the pick overall, or would you rather have gone with Noah Essenga, Coman, or even someone different? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And this is quite simple, guys. Which college did Collin Murray-Boyles play for? Was it North Carolina? A, was it B, South Carolina? Was it C, Florida State? Or was it D, Texas? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. That will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.